Hello, I'm Caroline Brundle. I'm an elderly care researcher from Bradford Teaching Hospital's NHS Trust, presenting our abstract on the cost of community research. A key policy focus for the 2019 NHS long-term plan is for health services to be delivered to people in their communities. To support a robust evidence base for this, clinical trials need to be designed to account for community-based recruitment. There is currently limited information available around the time taken and the cost of recruiting research participants in the community. The development of research applications and completion of cost attribution documentation, like the SOCAT, the Schedule of Events Cost Attribution Template, is problematic without accurate information. We set out to establish the amount of researcher time it takes to consent community-dwelling older people to the personalised care planning for older people with frailty, feasibility, primary care, cluster randomised control trial, PROSPER. In this trial, older people expressing an interest in participating were visited at home in order to gain consent and undertake baseline data collection. We timed activity for every third visit we made in September and October 2019. These months were chosen to avoid school holidays and extreme winter weather, so we would be recording typical travel times. Timings were recorded on a pro forma, including travel, visit time, the participant contact activities, and associated admin tasks. Data was collected from 33 visits, all of which were included in the analysis. 29 of these people were recruited to the trial and 4 declined. The table shows medians and ranges for all the different elements of recruitment and baseline data collection we timed. The median total activity time per visit was 148 minutes. Note the total activity range though, up to 4 hours. Medians of 40 minutes travel, 81 minutes visit time and 24 minutes of admin were recorded. Times for completing the baseline data collection range from 19 to 63 minutes. Some participants were able to complete the questionnaires themselves, but others required support for reasons like hearing, visual, manual and cognitive impairments. This researcher-supported completion was generally more time-consuming than self-completion. Miscellaneous time was recorded for every visit. This was time spent on things unrelated to the research, like interruptions due to the participant receiving phone calls, making cups of tea and chatting about topics other than the research study. People often wanted to talk about their health problems or the loss of a loved one. I'll quickly touch on something here that isn't shown in the table. Carer recruitment was unusually low in our timing months, but carers were recruited for 20% of study participants overall. Also, 3% of trial participants were judged to lack capacity to consent and required consultees in order to be involved. In some cases, the consultees and carers lived elsewhere or were unavailable to talk at the time, which meant extra visits were necessary to complete recruitment and data collection. Studies cannot reach recruitment targets if they are unrealistically planned and resourced. When planning studies of older people, special consideration should be given to factors that impact on time taken, such as cognition, hearing and visual impairment. Desire for social contact can impact too. Community-based researchers have to incorporate a certain appropriate amount of non-research time into our visits. We recommend that trials recruiting older people in the community allocate 2.5 hours of researcher time on average per person for consent, data collection and admin, being mindful that activity will take longer in some cases. We know that researcher activity will vary between different community-based trials. Our findings will give a good starting point for timing calculations. Trials recruiting from rural settings or where sites cover a large area should allocate additional time for travel. We believe that our timing data is important information for anyone preparing project protocols, developing funding applications and completing SOCAT forms. An understanding of how long the elements of community-based research with older people take is vital in understanding and planning the costs associated with such trials. We think similar reviews by colleagues recruiting from other settings, such as wards and care homes, would be useful. Thanks for listening. You should be able to post comments and questions below. To find out more about the PROSPER trial, look us up on Twitter @ProsperTrial.